Breathe in gently, settle your body, and let your mind soften as we enter the quiet world of philosophy. Before we step into the depths of Albert Camus's ideas, a small reminder: if you enjoy calm, reflective explorations like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. It helps this space grow, and it ensures you won't miss any future meditative philosophy journeys. Now ease into the sound of silence. Imagine the world dimming round you, like a candle slowly lowering its flame. You are entering a place older than memory, the place where thought begins. Tonight we walk with Camus. Albert Camus was born in Algeria in 1913. His father died in World War I when Camus was less than a year old. He grew up in a poor neighborhood with his mother, who was partially deaf and worked as a cleaning woman to support the family. There was no electricity in their home, no running water, no books, no philosophy. And yet, from this difficult beginning, Camus became one of the most luminous voices of the 20th century. He was a writer, a journalist, a playwright, and a philosopher. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature at the age of 44. He died in a car accident just 3 years later. Camus is often called an existentialist, but he rejected that label. He wanted to be known as something else. He wanted to be known as a thinker of the absurd. The absurd is the central idea in Camus's philosophy. But what does it mean? It is not a theory. It is a feeling, a recognition, an experience that every human being has had at some point, usually in a quiet moment when the usual distractions fall away. The absurd is the collision between two things. On one side, there is the human being. The human being wants meaning. The human being wants clarity. The human being wants to understand why we are here, what we are supposed to do, and whether any of it matters. This desire for meaning is not optional. It is built into the structure of human consciousness. You cannot stop wanting to know why. On the other side, there is the universe. The universe does not answer. The universe is vast, indifferent, and silent. You ask why. The universe offers no reply. You search for a purpose. The universe goes on with its business, unconcerned with your search. The absurd is the tension between your need for a meaning and the world's refusal to provide it. Camus was not the first philosopher to notice this tension, but he was the first to take it seriously without trying to resolve it. Other philosophers had tried to escape the absurd. They had claimed that reason could discover ultimate meaning. They had claimed that God provided the answer. They had claimed that history was moving toward a perfect future. Camus rejected all of these escapes. They were, he said, forms of philosophical suicide. To truly live the absurd, Camus argued, you must do three things. You must refuse to escape. You must refuse to pretend that the answer exists. And you must refuse to give up. This is the heart of Camus's philosophy. Not despair. Rebellion. As you breathe slowly and feel your body settling into rest, imagine for a moment the feeling of the absurd. It may be familiar to you. The moment when you look up at the stars and feel how small you are. The moment when someone you love dies and no explanation is adequate. The moment when you work hard for something and it fails for no good reason. In these moments, the absurd reveals itself. The gap between what you want and what the world gives. Most people respond to these moments by looking away. They distract themselves. They rush back to the safety of routine. They tell themselves stories about how it will all make sense someday. Camus says, do not look away. Look directly at the absurd. Feel its cold breath on your face. And do not blink. The absurd is not a problem to be solved. It is a condition to be lived. Now we arrive at the most famous image in Camus's philosophy. The myth of Sisyphus. In ancient Greek mythology, Sisyphus was a king who cheated death not once but twice. He tricked the gods. He chained death itself. He thought he had escaped his fate. But the gods are not easily mocked. They condemned Sisyphus to an eternity of futile labor. His task was this: roll a massive boulder up a steep hill, strain, sweat, push with every muscle, and just as the boulder reaches the top, watch it roll back down to the bottom, then walk back down, and begin again. Forever. This is the perfect image of the absurd. Effort without lasting achievement. Striving without ultimate purpose. A task that can never be completed. Repeated endlessly. For no reason. Most people, when they hear this myth, feel a kind of horror. What a terrible punishment. What a pointless existence. How crushing it must be to know that your work will never be finished. But Camus asked a different question. He asked, what happens in the moment when Sisyphus walks back down the hill? The boulder has fallen. The work is undone. Sisyphus is alone on the mountainside, walking back toward the bottom, fully aware of what awaits him. In that moment, he is not a victim. He is a witness. He sees his fate clearly. He knows the boulder will fall again. And yet, he keeps walking. Camus wrote these famous words: "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a human heart." One must imagine Sisyphus happy. This is the rebellion. Not changing the situation, changing your relationship to the situation, not escaping the absurd, embracing it, not hoping for a different outcome, finding meaning in the struggle itself, regardless of the outcome. Sisyphus does not win. He never wins. The boulder always falls, and yet Camus insists he can be happy. Why? Because he is conscious. Because he knows his fate and chooses to keep going anyway. Because he has transformed his punishment into a kind of victory. Not victory over the gods, victory over despair. As you rest here, letting your breathing slow and your mind soften, think about your own boulders, the tasks you repeat, the struggles that never seem to end, the efforts that do not produce lasting results. Camus is not telling you that these struggles are meaningless. He is telling you that the meaning is in the struggle itself, not in some future reward, not in a final destination, in the walking, in the pushing, in the conscious choice to keep going even when the boulder rolls back down. This is not optimism. Camus was not an optimist. He knew that life is hard, that suffering is real, that death is certain. He never pretended otherwise. But he also refused to let the hardness of life crush his love for life. He chose to live. To write. To love. To create. To rebel against the absurd, not by escaping it, but by living it fully. You can make the same choice. Not once, every day, every moment. The choice to live consciously, without illusion, without false hope, and without despair. The choice to say yes to life even when life does not say yes back. Before we continue, a gentle reminder of where we are. Camus is leading us not toward answers, but toward a way of living with questions. The absurd is not a wall that stops you. It is a door that opens onto a different kind of life. A life without guarantees. A life without cosmic validation. A life that must find its own reasons for continuing. Most people cannot live this way. They need certainty. They need to believe that their suffering has a purpose, that their efforts will be rewarded, that the universe is ultimately just. Camus understood this need. He did not mock it. He simply pointed out that the universe does not cooperate with our need, and pretending that it does is a form of dishonesty. The honest person, The absurd person, the rebellious person says, I do not know why I am here. I do not know if anything I do will last. I do not know if there is any ultimate meaning. And still, I choose to live. Still, I choose to love. Still, I choose to create. Not in spite of the uncertainty. Because of it. Because the uncertainty is what makes my choices truly mine. Camus was also a writer of fiction. His novel The Stranger tells the story of a man named Merceau who commits a senseless murder and then faces his own death with strange calm. His play Caligula shows a Roman emperor who becomes obsessed with the absurd and tries to teach his subjects that nothing matters. His novel The Plague describes a town struck by disease and the ordinary people who choose to fight it, not because they will win, but because fighting is what makes them human. In all of these works, the same question returns. How do you live when there is no guarantee that your living matters? How do you act when you know that all your actions will eventually be erased by time? How do you love when you know that everyone you love will die? Camus's answer is not a formula. It is an attitude. It is the decision to live with passion, with solidarity, with rebellion, and without appeal. Without appeal means not looking to the sky for answers, not waiting for someone to save you, not hoping for a better world after death. It means living here, now, in this imperfect world, with these imperfect people, and finding enough meaning in the struggle itself. The absurd hero, for Camus, is not a superhero. The absurd hero is the person who gets up every morning, goes to work, loves their family, enjoys a meal, watches the sunset, and does all of this without any guarantee that any of it matters. They live as if life matters, even though they know that life may not. They choose meaning, not because meaning has been proven, but because choosing meaning is an act of rebellion. As you breathe deeply and feel the weight of your body resting, let this idea settle into your mind. You do not need to solve the problem of existence. You only need to live it. Not perfectly, not heroically, just consciously, just honestly, just with your eyes open. The absurd is not a reason to give up. It is a reason to wake up. To stop sleepwalking through a life borrowed from other people. To stop waiting for permission to live. To stop hoping for a future that will never arrive and start living in the only moment you actually have. This one. Camus died young. He was 46 years old when a car crashed into a tree, ending one of the most brilliant literary careers of the 20th century. In his coat pocket, they found a train ticket. He had been planning to travel with his wife and children. He never made that trip. His death was sudden, random, and meaningless in any cosmic sense, and yet the work he left behind is full of light, not the light of easy answers. The light of a man who looked directly at the darkness and refused to blink before you drift fully into rest. A gentle reminder. If you enjoy this exploration of Camus's wisdom and wish to experience more calming, thought-provoking content, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Your support allows us to continue sharing these reflective journeys with you. Now let the quiet rebellion of Albert Camus carry you into sleep. The absurd is not your enemy. It is your teacher. The boulder will always fall. But you can still love the climb. The universe will not answer. But you can still ask the question. And Sisyphus, walking back down the mountain, conscious and defiant, shows you the way, not hope, not despair. Rebellion, not the choice to live fully in a world that offers no guarantees. The choice to say yes to this moment, and this moment, and this moment, until there are no more moments left. Breathe in and let go. Breathe in and let go. You are here. You are living, and in the quiet of this night, that is more than enough. Sleep well.